Yo, what's good, people? So, first things first, I've got my voice back. Lovely. I know viewers tend to compliment my voice, so I can happily get the commentary going properly again. But yeah, we have got another war video for you. It's War 3 of the season, and we're up against the one and only Loki. So, this is always a massive war for us when we match them. We've got so many mutual friends across the two alliances. They're also very, very well known because they've got a lot of big YouTubers in their alliance. And yeah, it's always a good one. It's always a tense war, and that does not change. This war is tight, and you will see the results at the end. But let's get into my fights first of all. So I've got 5 fights this war. I've steadily been ramping up. I think I had 3 the first war, 4 last war, and 5 this war. So we're getting more fights each war. Let's maybe slow the horses there, okay? I don't. Let's not quite push me to like a 7, 8, or I think I was teased recently by work or someone in chat saying I should do a 12 fight war. Yeah, maybe not bad. But anyway, getting back to my fights. First up, we're on 5A. Here we've got a Black Widow Deadly Origin. This one has heavy, what's it called? Inflow knockdown. So I've got to knock it down to remove the protection, and then I get a Fury. But it's also got a node where if I knock her down, she goes debuff immune. So obviously having white mags and his pre-fight means that I can get those parries regardless because they're passive stuns, they're not debuffs. She's also got force of will, but that's not really going to come into play here, I believe. So as you can see here, I don't really care too much about the debuffs. I do just want to knock her down, have the protection down, and have the fury up, get as much damage as possible. And then with the prowess, I build up as well. I know that, you know, one of my specials should be a big chunk of damage. And yeah, at this point as well, I'm actually focusing more on the knockdowns at the moment and just kind of, you know, getting my hits in, making sure I'm not doing anything silly, because she's one of those where she can really maybe back you up and quite quickly turn the fight on you. So I'm just focusing on that. Didn't even look at my power. With white mags, I do tend to usually go for the special one first, but look at that special 2. That hit hard. And the special 1 probably wouldn't have been quite as effective anyway, because the armor break would have been ignored by her being immune to debuffs when you knock her down for a certain period of time. So yeah, special 2 definitely went well there. And of course, because I took the fight with House of X himself, I didn't lose the pre-fight. You know, I used the pre-fight and then I got it back immediately. So I do still have 3 pre-fights I can place. And that's led to me placing 1 on this Nova. So again, ebb and flow knockdown. He's also got heavy hitter. And I'm taking this one with Cap Infinity War. So why the House of X? Well, the reason is wrong. I thought, and I was quite tired, been a long week, I've been very busy recently. I thought by putting that, it means I'm going to have these safe parries here. That one's fine because it's the first one. But then, I tried to throw a heavy there after the first parry, and no, it doesn't stop your need to have to reparry. His medium's still a non-contact. Yeah, I must have been thinking of a different interaction with the House of X helps you get those stuns in. Usually in the case of someone like shrugging it off or whatever, because obviously if they shrug off debuffs, then a passive stun is fine. But now I've got a problem because that's lets me get backed up a lot quicker than I would have hoped for or expected. I did know getting backed up is a possibility against Nova because of the heavy hitter. And if you see like there was like 8 heavies in a row or something. So it was, yeah, pretty wild to get me backed up. But thankfully now he's playing into the reparries. He starts to make some space. I can learn how to dex his special 1 again. And we're starting to build up some rhythm here. Again, get the parry in. Boom. Special 3. And we're good. These fights as well, these first 2 I've taken before going to bed, because I'm in the UK, of course. Usually I can only get my tier 1 down before sleeping. It's very rare that I get my tier 2. But you see here as well, he's right on a special 3, but I'm confident my final heavy will finish, so I didn't quite try to bait the special 2 earlier. And it paid off. Definitely a bit risky, I think. Looking back, I would probably try and just bait the special 2 earlier, take it on the block. It's going to cost maybe a health potion or so extra, but definitely safer there. I did just try to save some health and go for the finish, which I was confident again, but yeah. I would, if I had to make an improvement to that fight, that would probably be the main one. And yeah, just going with the reparries from the start and accepting that you can maybe get backed up at some point. But right, so the morning has come round, we've got fight 3, we've done our boosting up again because we've got 3 fights coming up. I'm going to hit in one go. I do now have my science power backs on as well. They would have been perhaps nice to have, for some extra damage against Nova. But yeah, obviously that one was taken in the morning. This is now, so didn't have them on then. But yeah, here we go. Mephisto is on node 20. I think it's node 26 here. So this is the one that has what's it, Conflictor on it. So again, this is why we're placing the House of X pre-fight from White Mags. We just want to have those stuns guaranteed. We don't worry about them getting shrugged off, and then also feeding him power. His power as is going to be annoying because of MD, and he tap my decks, and that, you know, precision buff expires, but also because of his aura. Like, you know, when he triggers his aura, that leads to him usually shooting up in power as well. So this is going to be a difficult fight to manage. I know Mephisto won't be easy here. Thankfully, we've had someone take it before, I think in another battle group, and they were able to send some footage so I could see kind of what might go wrong in that fight. In duels, what was going wrong? Parrying, apparently. I just couldn't land a single one. And I need to land a lot because at the start here, there's also hazard shift on this node. So I'm going to try and build up my kinetic charges to be safe and know that I can get some hits in. I also can't knock him down because he is he's a conduit defender, so my special 3s are going to be the only knockdowns because those won't trigger it. But no heavies here, no special 2, not even the special 1, which used to be safe in not triggering conduit, but I think the reason I was told as well is Mephisto's defensive ability accuracy can't be reduced, so that's perhaps why it didn't work for my teammate, which is, again, that's why it's always good to see other people's footage, because yeah, he went for a special 1 early on in the fight and it still triggered conduit, so that was always nice to know. But you see here, we get the special 3 off, nice huge chunk of damage, and now you're going to see as well, right back up to 2 and a bit bars of power. That is why we've thrown the power backs on here. It just makes this fight a bit safer. One note I didn't actually mention is crumbling armor, because usually doesn't really matter too much, but in this case it does a little, just because I have to be aware that if there is a phase where I'm maybe not hitting into Mephisto as much, crumbling armor will probably trigger, and that will use up one of my kinetic charges to shrug that off. So I do have to keep that in mind while trying to manage those charges for the hazard shift, which is the most important things to be shrugging off. But yeah, you see here as well, we get our special 3 and he's already used up his regen, so that finishes him off. Yeah, beautiful fight, I would say. Obviously I've taken some chip damage, but I wouldn't say I did anything too wrong there. I would probably, if I was doing that fight again, just try and replicate it, really. So yeah, we now go into our, what was that, our third? So yeah, our fourth fight of the war. And yeah, this is going to be another not white mags, this is red mags this time, but we have taken him the last 2 wars, so 3 wars in a row to start the season with this fight. It does look like I'm getting sent to 9B a lot as well, Cap Infinity War and a skill champ. Yeah, a lot of last season was spent on path 4B, so maybe it looks like 9B is going to be my new home. But yeah, starting the fight with a nice early combo to the face. Thank you for Cap Infinity War's glancing. But otherwise you see here, just remembering he's got one eye open, so not hitting into his stun, keeping kinetic charges up for hazard shift, and also, you know, using his heavy as openings. Of course as well, when I have my kinetic charges up, I can nullify his unstoppable when he heavy charges, so as we see here, no worry about punishing that. And then it's just a case of trying to keep these charges as high as possible. In that case, I was getting a bit backed up, so I was like, right, I'll just fire this off with 4, charge my heavy to get the Fury and throw the special 3. And the one difference in this fight to the previous 2 times I took it this season is I have the power backs, I have the science power backs. This is actually going to make this fight a lot smoother, because I can just get to another special 3 much quicker, get the fight down quicker, and that's always better, isn't it? But yeah, not too much else to really add to this fight. I'll let the rest of it kind of just play out here. We've seen it a few times. Obviously I've taken it 3 times in a row now this season, and I'll be back for my 5th and final fight. Alright, so at that point I had just taken the Mephisto and Magneto in a row. I think I had the power start 1 on for both of them, just again to get the special 3 quicker. But yeah, so now I've finished those 2 fights that I wanted to do with that power start still on. I've reset my game, I've come back in. I do try and do this now, it's a new thing I do for War. I do try and reset my game at least every 2 fights. Again, it depends a bit sometimes on boost, but it's just to be extra safe. I really hate game crashes, they just really suck. Especially in War where, you know, you're losing an attack bonus that's not even your fault. So I'm very extra cautious now. But we're going into this thing fight. He's got Hazard Shift, he's got Nerves of Steel, which means he's periodically gaining armor, passive armors, which you can remove by striking into his block. And yeah, the aim of this fight really, Shang-Chi is going to be a good one because I can get the Cleanse Wushu to get rid of the Hazard Shift debuffs. I can use a slow to manage not having to care too much about his rock stacks. But generally, those 2 are just available to me, right, to use at my disposal in this fight. And the way I've looked at this fight and really actually enjoyed it was just, there was no set rotation here. There was no like, all right, I want to do this wushu, then that, and then just keep cycling through that rotation. No, it was more literally judging the fight as I fought it, because yeah, I was just like, okay, how do I keep the cleanse up long enough and also the slow, and then maybe I want to hit into his block and do like the stun Wushu through block to get rid of those armors, and then how am I going to manage all 3? What if he's not, you know, there was too much to try and potentially overthink there, and it was better to just get my jewels in, get an idea of what I wanted to do, and then be flexible with it, you know, be adaptable. And it's going pretty well so far. We're also not trying to go for like max damage with a special 2, so I'm not bothering going to special 3 and just ramping up chi charges that way. I'm just going to get to my special 2, and when I've got there, I will have built up some chi charges. I'll try and do things like this, line it up well, so I've removed his rock stacks. Here I accidentally hit into him a bit, so I've given him some, but obviously it's fine. We trigger the protection there. A few more rock stacks than I would have liked, but it's fine. We get a good chunk of damage, and this fight is going very, very smooth. We're in no danger of timing out. He's low on health. We're high on health, you know. It's going very, very well. So at this point, it's just a case of closing it out. You see here we've got the cleanse and the slow. Put a second slow on as well there, just refresh it. And at this point, go for the finish. There's no point even using the special 2 because it will trigger some protection. It probably would still kill, but just in case, I just go for normal combos here to finish him off. Yeah. Very, very nice, smooth fight, pretty smooth war I'd say for the whole. Don't remember any of the fights really getting too messy, so yeah, very happy. And as you can see, we did pick up the win, a very big win. We were actually winning 9-5 going into our final fight and then dropped 2, so it was almost nicer than it looked, but hey, listen, every death counts at the end of the day, so it was always going to be a tight one against 4 Loki. We got the win. We can be pretty happy with 7 overall. I think we still can get better than that, that's definitely sure. For ourselves in BG3 in particular, I know we didn't have the greatest of wars after not dying in the first 2 at all. I think we kept 2 donuts, yeah. But yeah, will be interesting to see how the rest of the season goes. We're 3-0 up for the season. That's going to put us very high in Masters, potentially on the top 3 podium. But yeah, no point looking too much into the rankings now. We've got a nice platform to build off. 9 more wars this season. Let's just see how it goes from here. But that will be it from me for this one. Take care. I'll see you in the next video.